Hey everyone, Anne O'Connell with OC Publishing here, and welcome to the author journey. I hope you're having a great day. As you can see, it's bright and sunny out there, but we're going to have a little bit of a different show today. We're in our community, in our publishing and author community here in Nova Scotia. We're kind of reeling a little bit from the potential defunding of big chunks of the publishing industry, as well as the culture and performing arts. And I have a press release here from Atlantic Publishers Marketing Association, which was, I think, the first notice that I had received as a member, that on February 24th, the Department of Communities, Culture, Tourism, and Heritage informed Nova Scotia publishers that it is eliminating a fund that helps local publishers publish new books by local authors. This is devastating. Our literary community here in Nova Scotia is a vibrant piece of the social fabric that contributes so much to, lifestyle and to the economy, with professionals, from publishers, editors, designers, authors, who are being directly and negatively impacted by this. The budget cut that they're planning, it hasn't happened yet, will make Nova Scotia the only province to cancel support for publishing books. And that is just, it's hard to fathom as somebody who is, totally immersed in this industry as a publisher and an author as well. OC Publishing does not receive any government funding, but we are still an integral part of the whole mix. And there's place for everybody, but we, as an industry and authors, believe that if our provincial leaders don't support what is being done in this industry, then they're not truly representing what our province is all about. This has gotten notice right across the country and internationally, because Nova Scotia authors have had impact, and books and messages that have gone way beyond our borders. The Writers Union of Canada put out a statement that says Canadian writers and publishers pay back to society far more than they receive in funding support. And that's just a little aside. A small amount of funding goes a really long way. Authors and publishers really know how to stretch dollars. So the impact that is felt throughout, the province is significant. And she continues to say, this is Kim Fauner, continues to say that anyone that would pull writers from Canadian classrooms and discourage the creation of new Canadian books at this moment when Canada is feeling such a cultural threat is short-sighted and self-destructive. And that's the Writers Union of Canada. So we're feeling the outpouring of support. There are rallies going on. And I would like for you to welcome with me. I have a couple of authors that are going to join me today. But just for a second, I also want to give respect and comment on the Writers Federation of Nova Scotia, that has also really, stepped up, and that all of the folks that myself and my authors that are with me today, including Carol Bruno, and hopefully Jill McLean will join us a little bit later. We're all members of the Writers Federation, and as a group, we truly support and lift up one another. And the release from the Writers Federation continues on to say the Department of Education and Arts Nova Scotia will see a full defunding. Now listen to this, full defunding of artists in the schools, which means all annual funding will be cut for the Writers in the Schools program. And I know that Carol and Jill have both been involved. And I have some pending invitations to do presentations in classrooms that I worry won't actually come to be, and that program, which brings Nova Scotian authors into elementary and secondary schools to provide presentations, workshops, and readings for students of every grade, will not continue if this particular cut actually happens. So I wanted to, you don't need to listen to me for the next half hour, but I'm going to welcome Carol Bruno, who's an award-winning author, whose books do reach well beyond our borders. She's past president and long-standing member of the Writers' Federation of Nova Scotia. She's worked as a professional author based in Nova Scotia for 30 years. She's the author of 6 novels, 1 nonfiction, and 4 short story collections. She was nominated for the International Dublin Award. So Nova Scotia authors are just well beyond, the borders of Nova Scotia, and so deserve this funding. I feel like I'm on my soapbox, and I guess I am. But she's also won the prestigious Thomas Riddell Atlantic Fiction Award. And there's so many. I have so many. I've read a lot of her books, and this one is one that I've just grabbed as I was looking at all of the Nova Scotia authors that I have on my bookshelf. But let's bring Carol up, welcome her to the show, and we'll continue our conversation. Hey, Carol, how are you?
I'm very well. Well, mad, but
Yes. Do you have your camera off?
I don't think so. I can see myself.
No, I've lost your video.
Uh-oh. You could see me before?
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't done anything different.
Okay. Well,
I don't know.
That's interesting, but that's okay, because I'll just bring up your website. So tell us what your first reaction was when you heard this news.
Well, I was appalled. I came home. My husband was just reading the article in the Examiner that listed all the cuts. And as soon as I heard, I just went right to Nimbus to see Terry Lee Bulger, our publisher, and to say, listen, I'm behind you 150%. Yeah, exactly. Because, she has just done so much for Nova Scotian authors, as you have, as all our homegrown publishers have, and it's just such a blow. And all of you work hard to market the books, to be innovative in how you produce and publish the books, and get them into readers' hands. And it's insulting. It's insulting to publishers. It's really insulting to authors. It's insulting to the whole ecosystem of books in this province. And that includes, as you mentioned, obviously, editors, designers. Then there's there's librarians, booksellers, warehouse people, arts administrators, educators. Like, the list goes on. Everyone is affected by this attack on books, and attacking books when we most need people to read. We most need people to be literate and informed. And it's incredibly short-sighted on the government's part. And
and heartbreaking. And if you think back to, like, over the 30 years of your career, you sort of mentioned some of the people, the key players in the industry. Do you remember, when you look back, what it was that inspired you to become an author?
Yes, and this speaks to the other aspect of the cuts. It was heritage. I grew up in Nova Scotia, and was, my parents always took us to all the museums, etc. So that was a huge part of our growing up, huge part of our education. So I loved local history, and my early writing was really influenced by labor history in Nova Scotia and Cape Breton and that whole heritage. So that's one aspect, but I grew up loving stories. Both my parents were great readers, and I was lucky in that way. But we always went to the library, etc. Books were just a huge part of my life from day one, and so from the time I was a very small child and realized, oh, you can tell stories when you string words together. I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do, and. Really, it's there's nothing too glam about it, but it's just that's how it has been.
And you make a really good point. It's not glamorous, of course, unless you're, Rachel Reed and your book gets picked up and optioned for TV. Who isn't watching Heated Rivalry? And again, a Nova Scotia author, right?
Yes.
But you talk about the modesty of it and the simplicity of it. But there's a lot that goes into the process. And so when you start on a new book project, and I understand that you have one in the works now that could potentially, be threatened, if this funding cut happens, who are what does that process look like, and how many people, touch a book of yours?
Okay, well, I do have a novel, I hope, still coming out in the fall with Nimbus. It's been edited and I'm just waiting now for the page proofs, but it's a very long process. That particular novel, I started working on, kind of taking stabs at it 20 years ago. So it's not that I worked on it all that time constantly, but it's always been with me. And, I finished it 2 or 3 years ago. So then it's go through the process of, the acquisitions editor at Nimbus reads it and then accepted it. And then she went through it, and the first round of the editorial process happened. We had a meeting, discussed some revisions, did the revisions. So, about a year later, then she starts to do the line edit. And I mean, she is so busy because Nimbus produces a wonderful long list of books, but on a shoestring budget and with very few staff. And I mean, that is the reality. That's what publishers deal with.
Yeah.
And I so appreciate that it takes an army of people really to produce a book, to take it from my desk and then get it into the hands of readers. It's a huge process. It takes a long time. It takes tremendous expertise and dedication and care from people who work for not much money at all. Like, none of us, that's the sad thing. Nobody does it for the money. And I think people like Tim Houston take that just as a license to run over us,
Right. And it really is hard to explain to somebody who hasn't been in the midst of it. From the outside looking in, it might seem simple. And, the leadership, who again hasn't been involved in the process, may say, oh, they're making tons of money on book sales. Like, they don't need our funding. But talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, do you want about authors' royalties? Well, I mean, you make 10% of the cover price on each book sold, and it's not easy to sell a lot of books in a small market like this.
Right.
In Canada, it's not easy to sell a whole lot of books. So, we never make much money. But that's not why we do it. It's because of the love of stories. It's a love of heritage. All of those things. It's a way to give back to your community. Although I'm sure there's those out there that think, oh, when they're writing, they're just having fun. It's just for them. It's just they're arrogant and all that. And no, there are way easier ways to spend your time, really.
Yeah.
Anyone who has written knows that.
Yeah, you really do have to love it. And, the process, I get chills, when I sit down. It doesn't matter what part of the process, like the first manuscript that comes in, the cover reveal, the first book in your hand always gives me chills, like some of the admin piece. And there's a lot of that I'm just going to share with everybody, and any other publisher will agree that what happens in the back end is no joke. There's a lot of work. And when I asked you about, the number of hands that touch your book, publishers, like you said, have a very small and efficient and committed staff. And then there are lots of other, like illustrators, editors, proofreaders that are hired on contract. And that's what I do, because we don't have the budget to have in-house staff. But what's important about that point is that there are editors that work for several different publishers in the community.
Yes, exactly.
And if this actually happens, I mean, the number of books that are published, and with the traditional publishers will decrease. The number of available work, for the expanded, professionals will decrease. And that's just, the impact is so far reaching.
It's
right?
far-reaching in the way it's spread over all these different aspects of the publishing sector, or the writing sector. For instance, you mentioned the Writers Federation of Nova Scotia and the Writers in the Schools program. Well, it's great for kids, very inspiring for school kids, obviously, but it's also a source of income for authors.
Right.
And editors and so on. And so as that funding dries up for people, there goes another source of income. And trust me, we live in a gig economy. This is how it's patchwork, piecing together your income from various sources that are writing related. And each little drop in the bucket, when you're earning it, you're making that money, that's your income. But take those drops away, and guess what?
And that's a lot of drops. Right? It might not seem,
like these funding cuts just threaten to bleed us.
Yeah, which is just so disheartening. I put up this image, Carol, because I just I went into search and typed in Nova Scotia books, and good Lord, look at this. I'm going to scroll down here, and what pops out at you is the vibrancy, the impact. Excuse me. I mean, look at this: Birth Road, the Berry Pickers, the Maroons in Nova Scotia. Like, this is sorry, excuse me. I mean, what does that make you feel like when you see this big scroll of books?
Well, I think that it shows how Nova Scotia authors and publishers punch way above their weight.
Exactly.
To put it mildly. I mean, and this is just a recent crop of books. Look back over 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and it's enormous. And it's enormous. And yes, we do have a small population, but this is the output. And that is so disrespected it's kind of unbelievable.
It is. And you talked about the heritage, like the history and heritage of our region is more than just like the impact of our little province. Like, the history is very rich and has international appeal in my humble opinion.
Well, what happened here, since, and this is colonialism. What happened here over the last 250, 300 years impacted all of European history. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
I do.
Not just in isolation. I mean, you're Acadian, so you know those stories.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I mean, it's all interconnected with world history. And that's, that anybody thinks they could just kind of cut this off at the source and almost erase it, because getting rid of those museums is erasure. It's I just think it's completely, it's baffling. It's baffling to
Yeah.
me that that's even on the table.
Right. Tell me a little bit about, like, I'm gonna switch. We have Jill, unfortunately, hasn't been able to connect, but she's given me permission to read her letter to the premier. But we're going to do that in a minute. I'm going to ask you to hang in as well. Um, but what are some of the comments that you hear from readers who have read and appreciated, whether it's your books or, fellow Nova Scotian authors? Are there any comments that really stand out to you?
People love reading things they relate to, and I found with some of my books, people who have maybe grew up here and moved away, or perhaps their grandparents grew up here, but they've had this connection with Nova Scotia. They love reading Nova Scotianisms, and
You're
the
right.
place, and about the distinctive qualities of Nova Scotian people. All of this, I think people love to read about it. And even if they're some, generations removed from those experiences, they find something very relatable in it and recognizable. And I think we all love reading something about that kind of touches on our own experiences, because it's not only affirming, but it makes you feel like, oh yeah, that's really, really valuable. That's really valid. And there's pride in that. And
Yeah.
to just take away this whole cultural identity, because that's what it's doing. It's slicing it up. It's like, what are we left with? What are we left with?
100% agree with you. I want to give a shout out to the folks who are watching. And if you have any comments that you'd like to make, please feel free to pop in those comments. I want to thank, we have, hang on a second, where am I here? Janice Landry has joined us, and I had to reach out to my bookshelf, and I have at least two. I'm sure I have more, but right at my fingertips, Janice is a very well-known and very well-respected author who has also been, championing the cause and expressing her thoughts. Hey, Marianne Ward, my heart and soul editor and associate publisher, and is involved throughout the community. Christine Fowler, another one I should reach over and get her book, Behind the Dress. Lots of folks watching, Carol, and that makes me really happy. I'm going to segue just a little bit here, but hang in for us, Carol, for a sec. I want to...
I just add,
yes,
these are all friends, colleagues, and we know each other and we support each other. And I just feel so grateful for these people.
Yeah. So we are so lucky. We've talked about that in this community, how we really do raise each other up, and it makes me very proud to be not only Nova Scotian, but an author here, and part of this amazing community. And people are saying how much they love you, Carol. You're an icon.
Right back at you.
And very happy that you were able to join us. So like I said, hang in there just for a second. We had my friend and fellow author, OC Pub author, as well as author from, has been writing for years and years, Jill McLean, award-winning, was going to join us and had some difficulties, but she did give me permission. This is her website, so if anybody wants to learn more about Jill, she did give me permission to share her letter to the premier, which she would have talked about herself, but I'm very honored that she has given me permission. And she says, Dear Premier Tim Houston, I'm a Nova Scotian author, 3 of whose 5 books for young readers won the Bremer Award as the best work of children's fiction in the Atlantic provinces for the year of publication. 2 of my novels are in the Nova Scotia school system. I have 5 times attended the Ontario Library Association's Tree Awards at Harbourfront, where literally thousands of kids are bussed in, all of them enthusiastic readers, and I have visited schools from Vancouver Island to St. John's. Speaking, therefore, as an experienced writer, I deplore the proposed defunding of the Nova Scotia Writers in the Schools program. Such cutbacks have, in my opinion, the very real potential to endanger the cultivation of creativity and imagination in our young people. I cannot believe your government intends such deprivation. Furthermore, I oppose the defunding of Nova Scotia's Publishing Assistance Program, which will inevitably decrease the number of books being written and published in our province. I am deeply concerned about all the significant cuts to arts, culture, and heritage in the budget, with their undoubted ripple effect on the tourism and hospitality industries, on economic growth and innovation in our province. In 2023, arts, culture, and heritage contributed $2.6 billion in GDP and supported 22,000 jobs in Nova Scotia. Any plan to do away with such benefits is surely short-sighted in the extreme. The arts are vital to our economy, our communities, our health, our identities, and our quality of life. Please reverse the budget's disastrous course of action with regards to arts, culture, and heritage. I look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely, Jill McLean. That was the letter that author Jill McLean, award-winning author Jill McLean, wrote to our premier. So thank you so much, Jill, for allowing me to share that. I also wanted to, as we were chatting, to share with you, and Jan Fancy has joined us. Well written, Jill. Thank you, Jan. That as we've been discussing this over the last several days, friends and fellow authors and like the whole community is abuzz with what's happening. And I started to scan my bookshelves and I thought, this is a small collection. So this, I took a picture of one of my bookcases. And, there's books all over. And Carol, you were saying earlier that, your whole house is full of books. And Marianne Ward and I were talking the other day, and she said the stacks of books are starting to tilt. So we can all really relate. Sue Slade from Dartmouth Book Exchange has just enjoyed us, and she's surrounded by wonderful books at her amazing at the bookstore that she manages. And also I want to shout out to our indie bookstores who are also extremely supportive. But this is just, like I said, a very small selection. And they're all Nova Scotia authors. And it's kind of a combination of indie and traditionally published. And then I went into another bookshelf and I thought, not only I have a ton on my TBR list and, things, let me just get this one down here a little bit. Things, like everywhere. Renee Beliveau's A Sense of Things Beyond. I'm dying to read this. It's on my TBR pile. Award winners, Joe Trigari's, one, Canadian crime fiction writers, legends, Bruce Graham's, and this is Purple Porcupine, books that left such a huge impression on me. The Hermit of Africville by John Tatry. Like, I grew up in Halifax and learned more about what was in my own backyard, thanks to that particular book. Books that make me laugh and remember my mom, who adored Point Pleasant Park. So Steve Lafley's, and literally, and of course, I can't forget, who doesn't love the story of Maud Lewis, as heartbreaking as it is. And thank you for brightening that. And I love this book. Friends who wouldn't be published without their publishers. My sweet friend Mark Shoup, and that was Moose House. Things, our community, like we were talking about the fabric of our community and the immigrant story, Peace by Chocolate and Making It Home, Alison Delory. So literally, I could go on, and I know that you can. You could, Carol, too. You showed me part of your book
Yeah.
bookshelf, but is there? What are some of the books that really have impacted you personally?
Well, I'm thinking back, when I was very young. I mean, recently, just I'm almost. I mean, I just look at my shelves and think of Leslie Crew's books.
Oh,
I
right.
mean, Leslie, she sells thousands of copies of books. So Tim Houston, when you talk about this not making money, like hello,
Oh my
hello,
gosh.
um, Stephen's Gerard Malone's books, Jumbo,
Mm.
which is just so powerful. I have to look at my shelves because they're just kind of groaning with all kinds of weight. Sherry Fitch's books.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, just these are all such gems and icons.
yeah,
We
Ian
could go
Col-
on, and
yeah, oh, exactly. Ian Colford's books, his wonderful short stories. Renee Beliveau's not well. I haven't had a chance to read her new book yet, but I've got it here, and I can't wait to read it. Okay, excuse me. I'm just looking at my shelf, but it's in all the local history books.
Oh,
It's
it's incredible. I just
yeah,
finished
it's
Charlene
incredible.
Carr's book, We Ripped the World Apart.
Yes,
Oh
I
my
have
gosh.
that.
Oh,
That
talk
yeah,
about leaving an
yeah,
impact, right?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So
And
important to
Mary,
have. You know, Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say,
So
Marianne Ward just jumped in and said, Carol makes an important point. This is a tight-knit community. We support one another. It's baffling that our government doesn't also see the importance of supporting the efforts of cultural workers in the province. Amen. Thank you.
yes,
And before we wrap up, I want to make sure that folks, and again, in our own neighborhood, our beloved Pam Callow, an international bestseller.
exactly.
Um, and Donna Allward, speaking of international
Yes.
bestsellers, right?
Mhm.
Just we have again such an amazing plethora of very talented folks. But I wanted to make sure that people that if you're watching and you want to know what you can do to learn more, go to defendnovascotiabooks.ca. And they have a lot of great ideas of what you can do, including a rally tomorrow at noon at Province House. And this is a rally for all of us, right, Carol, in the
Yeah,
literary, cultural, and performing arts.
yeah, exactly. So visual artists as well. Pretty much everyone, because there's a ton of us who are affected by this.
Mm-hmm.
And, we stand together. We really do. And there is that sense of solidarity, and
Mm-hmm.
they have to listen to us.
Oh, let's hope. And you went to the rally today, the shoulder to shoulder rally.
Yeah, very powerful. Is led by Mi'kmaq people, and this idea of protecting the environment, because
Mhm.
it's on the chopping block with this government, and it's pretty terrifying, because what's going to be left at the end of this?
I know it's disheartening, but hopefully, with everything that's going on and what people are speaking out and the rallies that are happening, we can hope and pray that those in positions of power who represent us will listen and act accordingly. So. I just want to say, part of the Writers Federation of Nova Scotia notification said, some of the actions that you can take include, calling and writing your MLA and the Premier, as Carol and Jill have done, and many others. Share on social media. Which I've been doing, and taking advantage of this platform that I have, and going a little bit longer than usual because this is really important. And join the rally at Province House in Halifax on Wednesday, March 4th at noon. So if you're watching this and it's after Wednesday, please still leave a comment and support local authors, local publishers, just speak out. We're just very happy that our industry, again, is so far-reaching and supportive of one another. And again, Carol, I want to thank you for joining me today. If you have any final thoughts.
Well, thank you so much for doing this, Anne, and thank you, Jill, for that fabulous letter. That's spot on and great. And thank you, everybody out there, for all your support, because we're in this together.
Yeah, and you had a very wonderful letter that you sent as well, and I think if anybody out there wants to visit Carol's website, what was the website address? carolbruneau.com.
Yes.
CarolBruneau.com. Excellent. Thank you again. And thank you all for joining us on the author journey today. We've been talking about Nova Scotia books, authors, and the literary community. We're encouraging people to defend and not defund Nova Scotia publishing. And let's hope that our leadership is listening and hears how passionate we all are about our industry. So again, thank you for joining us today. I'm Anne O'Connell with OC Publishing, and we'll see you next time on the author journey.